It's always a blessing having you around. If you're new here, we have episodes every day just to encourage us in the faith. Welcome. Our today's subject is the impossible possible. And we're going to learn from the book of Exodus, chapter 14. And we are more or less going to read a number of verses from the chapter, but we're going to start from verse 15. Let me just give you a preview. The Israelites have left Egypt and they are on their way to the promised land. And they get to a point where it's what we call between a rock and a hard place in our everyday life. But I'd want to equate it this way. It's actually between a rock and a rock. You know, a hard place can be somewhere where it's hard but it's bearable. They're between a rock and a rock. Because Pharaoh and his armies are pursuing them, and they are at a dead end where there are hills on the side, and the only point before them is the Red Sea, and they just can't swim and they can't go forward. Have you ever been in such a situation in your life where you're just at a dead end? Everything seems not to be working. Everything seems so impossible. Well, today I want to tell you that the impossible is possible, but we need to have one element to it. And so I'll read verse 15 of Exodus chapter 14. It says, "And the Lord said unto Moses, Wherefore criest thou unto me? Speak unto the children of Israel, go forward." I mean, this is absurd. You are at somewhere where you can't go forward, and you're crying to God, and God is telling you, "Why are you crying to me? Go forward." But then they had a step which required faith. And we find that at that time when they were in turmoil, God tells Moses, just rise your rod towards the red and touch the waters of the Red Sea, and a miracle actually happened. The sea parted, and it is recorded in verse 21. "And Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night, and made the sea dry land, and the waters were divided." Wow. You know, sometimes God does things that in our human eyes seem impossible. And that's why we call them miracles, by the way, because this was an impossible situation. In verse 22 it records, "And the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea upon the dry ground, and the waters were a wall unto them on the right and on their left." I mean, you just walk in the middle of the sea, and you can imagine how deep the sea is. And so you're down there, you see the wall stretching way up, and it's water on this side and water on the other side. Well, I know how faithless I am. If I was among the children of Israel, I will first wait until all of them have crossed to see if the waters will come back. And after all have passed, I will try. If I see any sign of the water coming back, I will just go back to Egypt and tell Pharaoh, "You know, I'm the good one. The others ran away but have decided to come back." It required a lot of faith. But God had carried them all the way. And so they walked through the sea as on dry ground. And of course, God does another miracle. When they were on the other side safely, now the Egyptians decided to pursue them. I feel like the Egyptians really, I don't know who their commander was, but personally I wouldn't try. I mean, that was so great a miracle for you to venture into pursuing people who have been shown such great providence by their God. And of course, while they were on their way, the waters, Moses still lifted up his rod, and the waters came back together, and all the armies of the Egyptians were killed. In verse 30, it writes, "Thus the Lord saved Israel that day out of the hand of the Egyptians." Is the Red Sea ahead of you? Is the enemy about to catch you today? Take the first step. Move forward. But then where are you moving forward to? Move forward towards your God. Reach out to God. Trust me, when you march forward, trusting and believing, then victory will be yours in the name of God. Place your will next to God's will. He will fight for you. So this deliverance of Israelites from the Egyptians teaches us that God will fight for us. If we trust and follow His commands or His orders, then we are sure to be victorious. So this was an impossible situation in the human perspective. But in as much as it was impossible, to God, it was very possible. So what impossible situation do you have today in your life? March forward, march towards God, believing that He's going to help you. And trust me, God is going to come through. As long as you're alive, as long as you're not dead, still there's room for God to act in your favor. And do you have any testimony of what God has done to you in your life? We'll be glad to learn about it so that we praise God together with you. Kindly be sure to leave it in the comments. We'll be glad to read about it and we'll be glad to share it with others too. God bless you and move forward in the strength of the Lord. Move towards God. He is going to make the impossible